Shaven Revel's first real NFL start just dropped in front of a Hall of Fame quarterback, 2 high-level receivers, and a Thanksgiving primetime audience. And if you want to know why that matters, stick with me because the tape tells the story. The kid played 57 snaps against Kansas City, coming off an ACL and stepping directly into the kind of environment scouts dream about, and most rookies dread. This wasn't a preseason cameo or mop-up duty. This was live fire against Mahomes, Rashid Rice, and Xavier Worthy. And by the all-22 look, Revel didn't shrink. Right away you can see the things that jump off the film: elite length, physical presence at the top of routes, and real comfort in man coverage. On that wide receiver screen where Travis Kelce is supposed to help wall him off, Revel still fights through traffic, redirects, and stays in position for a teammate to finish the play. That's the kind of physicality Dallas needs from the outside. A corner who can come up and tackle, not just sit and hope for safety help. The tape shows Mahomes avoiding throwing toward his side because Revel constantly shrinks the throwing window. On a late-game slant to Rashid Rice, Mahomes either misses or chooses to throw it out of the end zone rather than squeeze it through a tiny pocket. That's impact coverage on a crucial rep. One question following ACL surgery is always, can he run? And Revel answers that by carrying Xavier Worthy 30-plus yards downfield on out and up and winning foot races in recovery. If he can stick with someone that fast in space, that knee is trending in the right direction. Now, this isn't a flawless tape. There are a handful of reps where underneath reads and immediate tackling could be cleaner, and you can tell he's still building instincts at the pro level after a short college sample. But those are coachable issues, and the high-ceiling traits, length, recovery speed, physicality at the catch point, are rarely learned. So here's what I want from you. Simple yes or no in the comments. After watching the All-22 and knowing he came off an ACL, do you trust Revel as a long-term starter for the Cowboys? While you type that, do me a favor and hit subscribe to help us push toward 17,000 subscribers. If you want more deep All-22 work like this, every sub makes it easier to turn these breakdowns into weekly staples. If you're with me so far, hit the like button and tell me which play stood out most to you. The coverage on Rashid Rice, the recovery on Worthy, or the physical screen tackle on that first clip? Drop that below, and when you're done. Now let's dive straight into the tape, because this is where Shaven Revel starts to separate himself from the typical third-round rookie. Dallas played a heavy dose of man coverage against the Chiefs, and that alone tells you something. The coaching staff trusted him on an island against one of the most creative passing attacks in the NFL. On the All-22, the physical profile is the first thing that shows up. The length, the frame, the reach. On one of the early reps against Rashid Rice, Revel aligns outside, stays square through the release, and uses that 33-inch arm length to shrink the throwing window immediately. Mahomes clearly looks away, not because Rice isn't open, but because Revel's size eliminates the margin for error. When Mahomes is flushed by Sam Williams, the quarterback still refuses to test that side, settling for a safe throwaway. That's respect, and it's rare respect for a corner in his first true NFL start. And then you get the speed question, something every fan had after the ACL. The out and up against Xavier Worthy might be the most encouraging rep of the entire game. Worthy sells the out beautifully and Revel doesn't bite. He stays patient, flips his hips cleanly, and matches stride for stride with the fastest combine time in history. On tape, that's where corners get exposed, where one false step turns into 6 yards of separation. Instead, Revel stays in the hip pocket, compresses the sideline, and forces Mahomes to look elsewhere. Later, on the drag route in the end zone, Worthy wins the initial release, but the recovery speed is eye-opening. Revel closes the distance instantly. And because his arms are so long, He doesn't even need to be perfectly even to threaten the catch point. That's what defensive coordinators love. A guy who can lose early in the down, but still win at the ball. Another fascinating play is the crossfield drag versus the motion concept designed to create confusion for linebackers. The Chiefs are clearly trying to force Logan Wilson into a mismatch, get Kareem Hunt underneath, and stress the defense horizontally. But while all that movement is happening, Revel sticks to his receiver across the entire formation, step for step, never losing leverage. This is a play where rookie corners, especially ones coming off an injury, often fade or grab. Revel doesn't. He stays balanced, patient, and even though the ball goes elsewhere, his positioning removes a potential outlet entirely. But his best rep might be the red zone slant against Rashee Rice late in the game. Mahomes is staring it down pre-snap, expecting the rookie to crack. Rice gets a strong release, tries to win inside, and Revel stays glued. Square shoulders, perfect leverage, and excellent feel. The coverage is so tight that Mahomes either has to sail the throw or risk a turnover. That's the exact type of play that separates rookie with traits from rookie who's already playable. Before we move on, I want you to pick something for the comments. What impressed you most on the All-22? His patience at the line, his recovery speed, or his red zone leverage? Drop your answer below. And while you're there, help us hit our 17,000 subscriber goal. We're getting close, and your support keeps these deep dive breakdowns alive. Smash the like button if you want more All-22 rookies featured. So now that we've looked at the tape, let's talk about what Shavon Revel actually is as a prospect. Not just the highlight plays, but the full picture. Because when you watch him across a full 57 snap sample against Kansas City, you start to see patterns. You start to see traits that aren't common in rookie corners, especially ones coming off ACL surgery. And the first thing that jumps off the page is this. He is a true man-coverage body type. Dallas hasn't had many corners built like this in recent years. Long, physical, patient, and able to turn and run. That combination is rare. The Cowboys have had ball hawks, they've had twitchy guys, they've had athletes, but a big-bodied press corner who can shrink windows with pure physicality? That's different. That's a piece Matt Eberflus needed to unlock more flexibility in this defense. Revel's length is a weapon on its own. You see it on every rep, even the ones that don't end up targeted. When a corner can erase a throwing window just by existing in it, you change the way quarterbacks operate. Mahomes is the last guy in the world who avoids throws out of fear, and even he adjusted. That tells you everything. And when you add the recovery speed to the equation, the ability to lose early and win late, you start to understand why the Cowboys were high on him before the ACL. Corners like that don't grow on trees. That's why defensive staffs fall in love with traits and trust development. Now, that doesn't mean he's perfect. Far from it. There are areas that will require real growth. One of the biggest is processing and reacting to underneath throws. On screens, quick hitters, and crossers, the confidence isn't fully there yet. Sometimes he's a tick slow identifying the trigger point. When to plant, when to drive, when to attack. You see flashes, like the early play where he sheds Travis Kelce's block and helps clean up the screen to Rice. But the consistency? That's the next step. And that will come with reps, and with trusting his knee even more as the season goes on. Tackling technique is another developmental point. Not because he's unwilling, he's actually more physical than most expected, but because NFL tackling angles are different. College windows close slower. NFL receivers are stronger through contact. And when you're a tall corner, pad level becomes the battle. Luckily, that's coachable. That's repetition. That's experience. It's not a red flag, it's normal for a rookie with his frame. But here's where the optimism really kicks in. For a third-round pick with one true college season and a major injury, he already shows the hardest things to teach: patience, hip discipline, long speed confidence, and competitive toughness. Those are the ingredients of a future high-level starter. And when you put those traits next to Daron Bland and Kalen Barnes in a room transitioning away from depending on veterans like Stephon Gilmore, you suddenly see the future forming. You see why this performance matters. Beyond one win. Quick question for you. Drop it in the comments the moment you think of it. Do you think Revel should stay outside long-term, or should Dallas eventually test him inside? Yes or no? Keep it simple. I want to see where you lean. And before we move forward, make sure you're subscribed to help us hit that 17,000 goal. It keeps these all-22 breakdowns coming. And hit the like button so this video reaches more Cowboys fans who love this kind of detailed defensive analysis. Now, let's shift the conversation to what this performance actually means for the Dallas Cowboys moving forward. Not just for this season, but for roster building in 2025, 2026, and beyond. Because make no mistake, a young corner flashing like this changes your entire defensive roadmap. Cornerback is one of the most expensive, volatile positions in the NFL. If you find one on a rookie contract who can play right away, you create flexibility everywhere else. And for Dallas, that matters more now than ever. With the uncertainty around veterans, the likelihood that Trayvon Diggs isn't part of the long-term picture, and the financial commitments coming on offense, hitting on a defensive rookie is huge. Revel's performance against Kansas City signals something the front office has desperately needed: proof that they are capable of finding defensive talent that fits what Matt Eberflus wants to run. Eberflus loves corners who can play man, who can disrupt timing, and who can force quarterbacks into tight window throws. That's his identity. It's why the Colts' defenses under him always overachieved. He built them around discipline, leverage, and length at key positions. Revel fits that playstyle perfectly. His frame allows Eberflus to call certain coverages without fear of being outmatched physically on the outside. And when you compare that to the struggles Dallas had in last year's scheme, where off coverage was often predictable and soft, the difference is night and day. Now here's where this gets exciting. If Revel continues developing at even a modest pace, Dallas suddenly enters the 2025 NFL Draft without being forced to take a corner early. That changes the entire board. That means best player available. That means real freedom, something this front office hasn't had defensively in a while. Imagine going into the draft knowing Bland is locked in, Carson is developing, and Revel might be a legitimate long-term outside starter. That opens you up to take an edge rusher, a defensive tackle, a linebacker, whatever solves the biggest problem instead of patching a hole. But the impact isn't just future-oriented. For this season, Cowboys fans should understand what this does on a week-to-week level. It gives Dallas the ability to match up better against speed teams, vertical offenses, and motion-heavy concepts. When you have length and recovery speed on the outside, you don't panic when teams isolate your corners. You can stay aggressive. You can send pressure without constantly covering for your back end. That's huge for Eberflus, because his best defenses always came when he didn't have to babysit corners with soft shells. Of course, every young player goes through rough patches, and Revel will too. There will be games where offenses target him early, where they challenge his discipline, and where he'll need to show he can adjust within the flow of the game. But the important part is that the foundation is there. Traits don't lie. When you can run with Worthy and body up Rice in the red zone in your first real start, you're not a fluke. You're a building block, and Cowboys fans should be excited about that. Before we jump into Chapter 5, I want to throw this poll to you. Do you believe the Cowboys should treat Revel as a Day 1 starter next season if he keeps trending upward? Yes or no? Keep it simple. Drop it in the comments. And while you're here, help push us toward that 17,000 subscriber goal. Hit the like button so YouTube keeps feeding this video to more Cowboys fans who want real all-22 film breakdowns, not just box score talk. So let's bring everything together and talk about the big picture takeaway from Siobhan Revel's first real NFL test, and why this performance should matter just as much to Cowboys fans as any Dak throw, Parsons pressure, or Lamb highlight. Because this is the kind of game that reveals whether a young defender has it. Not just the speed, not just the length, not just the athletic profile. I'm talking about the wiring, the confidence, the willingness to compete snap after snap against a Hall of Fame quarterback and two explosive young receivers. Revel didn't just survive, he belonged. And that matters. It matters because teams are always searching for corners who don't flinch when everything moves faster than it ever did in college. It matters because the NFL exposes every weakness you have. And for a rookie coming off ACL surgery, making his first real start against Patrick Mahomes on Thanksgiving, yeah, it should have been overwhelming. But he didn't blink. What Revel showed on tape is the rare blend of traits and temperament that often predicts long-term starters. He's competitive at the catch point. He uses his length like a veteran. He understands leverage better than most rookies. And maybe most importantly, he doesn't panic when he's in chase mode. That alone separates him from half the young corners that enter this league. Most guys lose the route and grab. Revel loses the route and stays calm because he trusts his speed. That's high-level corner play. And when you pair that with the way Eberflus wants to build this defense, fast, disciplined, physical, and long, you see exactly why he's such a clean fit for what Dallas is trying to become defensively. And let's talk about the future, because Revel's development potentially gives the Cowboys something every team wants, but few ever get: stability at corner. The ability to roll into a season with Bland, Carson, and Revel as your core gives you draft flexibility, cap relief, and scheme freedom. For a defense that has been inconsistent and at times dependent on big plays instead of structure, having three young corners still getting better is a huge asset. It's the kind of foundation you build around. It's the kind of thing that keeps defensive coordinators aggressive instead of cautious. Now, no one should crown him after one strong game. That's not what this is. He's still raw. He'll still make mistakes. He'll still get targeted. But potential is the currency of the NFL, and Revel has it in a way that's worth investing in. If he stays healthy, if he keeps growing, if he cleans up the little things, Dallas might have actually found one. A real one. A future starter on a rookie contract at a premium position. Those are the guys that accelerate rebuilds, stabilize defenses, and give franchises wiggle room when the cap gets tight. Before we wrap up this breakdown, I want you to drop one more thing in the comments. Do you think Revel is the Cowboys' long-term CB2? Or is he potentially even better than that? I want to see where Cowboys Nation stands after watching the tape. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive, do me one favor. Hit that subscribe button so we can get to 17,000 and keep the film breakdowns coming every single week. Tap the like button to push this out to more fans who want real analysis, not just hot takes. That support keeps this channel alive.